Welcome to Lipstick Attitude, hosted by Dr. Elizabeth King, psychotherapist, hypnotherapist, author, and motivational speaker, specializing in trauma and women's mental health, and Yvonne Haase, psychotherapist and coach specializing in relationships, couples, and women's issues. This show is your dose of inspiration, information, and laughter. In each episode, Dr. King and Yvonne bring you hacks, tips, and inspiring stories to help you live a successful life. So ladies, grab your lipstick. It's time to do this. The Lipstick Attitude podcast is powered by Stilettos and Lipstick Foundation, a nonprofit movement to empower women and children from all walks of life to be resilient, self-confident, and purposeful leaders through education, mentorship, and community outreach. To learn more, visit sslwomen.org. Please note that this show is intended to empower and educate. It is not meant to be utilized as a substitute for individual therapy.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. This is Dr. Elizabeth King, and this is the Lipstick Attitude. I have my co-host real close by, but very far away, Yvonne Haase. Hi, Yvonne. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I am fabulous. It's Saturday morning, and it's not a very beautiful morning, but it's Saturday morning, so that's good enough. And Today we have a very special guest, one of my most favorite people on this planet, Kandee G. Good morning, Kandee.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And I have to tell you, it's a gorgeous day here. So
you're in Ocala, and it's gorgeous in Ocala, really?
It's gorgeous, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Are you not going to get this storm today? Or this weekend?
No.
Is it not touching? Oh, man.
It's supposed to head, but we may get some rain, but we won't get what you get.
All right. So road trip to Ocala is what you're saying.
Well, road trip to Kandee G's beautiful ranch. You have no idea how gorgeous it is. I went last year and stayed with them, and oh my gosh, you have to see her horses and the cows, and just, it's beautiful. So even if it was raining, it's gorgeous where Kandee lives. So absolutely beautiful. But, Kandee is a very special person in my life because Kandee has been with us, right, Yvonne, since day one. I think you were one of our first speakers.
It's your first speak. Yes, it's your first event.
First event. And interestingly enough, I remember this as if it was yesterday. I reached out to Kandee. We had just been introduced. I reached out to her and told her about my idea. And I was thinking, this is a hotshot speaker. There's no way she's going to say yes to me about speaking on my stage when she knew I was a novice, because, I'm very transparent. I told her that. I told her I was just, doing this for the first time. And she said immediately yes. And she believed in what we were doing, and she said yes. And, I think, that just takes a really special person to see beyond, the obvious, but she saw my heart and she saw our mission, and she has been along the ride ever since. And so I'm so grateful for you. And that
thank you.
Totally
I appreciate that. But Elizabeth, it was your heart, and it was your intention, and it was your mission that got me to say yes, because I don't always say yes.
No, so. I know. Well, you can't always say yes, obviously, but especially with the work that you do and how busy you are, and you've been on major stages, and I'm so honored and grateful to have you.
Thank you. It was a great event.
Thank you. And it's been 9 years of more events, and you actually spoke at our last big event in 2017, and that was a very special one, as you can remember. But let me just say a little bit about you. I'm going to do a little intro.
Okay.
In the age of sound bites, providing good news in the media is the primary intention and the purpose for nothing but good news. Kandee G is dedicated to bringing high quality information to the public through all the programming, and to satisfy the increasing demand for integrity, honesty, and impassioned living. I love this, especially right now as we're going through so much.
We could use some good news.
We certainly can use good news. So welcome, Kandee, to our program.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's interesting. I was on the radio for 10 years, and doing a show called Nothing But Good News, and also publishing a magazine called Nothing But Good News. But when I moved to the ranch, took myself off the air and stopped publishing the magazine because I have a lot of other things going on. And I've had people everywhere. I've got hundreds and hundreds of calls for people to put Nothing But Good News back on the air. So what you'll find on my Facebook page every Tuesday is a new episode of Nothing But Good News. It's a 3 to 5 minute TED-like talk, but it just gives you something to think about for the day. So Nothing But Good News is still out there.
And that's awesome. We certainly need it. And I'm hoping that through this podcast, more people are going to connect, especially during this time. You know, Yvonne and I are both psychotherapists, and during this pandemic, we have seen such an increase and influx of patients coming for help for mental health because of the anxiety that's happening and depression. And we're seeing higher numbers of domestic violence, higher numbers of suicide rates, higher numbers of, you know, just panic attacks. And the list goes on and on. So having a platform that they can go to, resources like Nothing But Good News, is so incredibly useful and vital right now for people to find those resources and to make sure that they're connected, because the social disconnecting is really taking a toll, especially after 8 months. It's really taking a toll. So we really need anything we can get our hands on to motivate us and inspire us and to keep us going and reminding us that this too shall pass. And I think that that's the great work that you do, Kandee.
Well, and I appreciate that. And with actually, I'm posting something almost every day. I've got Conversations from the Carriage, which you know about.
I love that.
Shared.
Yes, I want you to talk a little bit about that. That was so awesome.
Wasn't that fun? Well, Conversations from the Carriage is I have carriage horses that I show and train and drive. And what we also do once a week is we get a video from the carriage on some topic. And again, they're only 3 to 5 minute videos. They're little sound bites of something really good to listen to. We've been doing it for 2 years, and we do a new one every week. Plus we do, kind of a throwback to the carriage. Let's pull out one that we did a couple of years ago. And yes, you were a part of Conversations with the Carriage, which was very fun. And again, and then every other day we post a note, something to think about, pictures of pretty horses and pictures of beautiful landscape. And I ask everybody that sees it to just repost it, share it. Let's just flood social media with positivity and happy things to think about.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And we certainly do need it. We certainly do need it. And that was so much fun. I was on the carriage with Kandee. I think you were actually driving the horses, or was it Erin? It was Erin that.
Well, she may have been driving. But we actually got you on the carriage to drive the horse.
I did that too. That whole weekend was an adventure, because I also got on the plane with your husband, and that was amazing.
Got her on an airplane. We had her driving a huge tractor.
Yeah. One of these days, we've been talking a lot about this for years, right, Kandee, that we're going to do a retreat at your ranch with the ladies. And one of these days, I was thinking that in 2020 was going to be the year, and then the pandemic happened. So maybe 2021, 2022, we're going to be at your ranch.
Well, I have a beautiful training room. We do have, as you've heard Dr. King say, that we have airplanes. I have a runway and 2 airplanes and an office and a conference room and a meeting room. And
that's amazing. And how many acres? Especially with 65. 65 acres.
Wow.
65. I have 14 horses. 2 are pregnant. I have 18 legitimately raised organic Black Angus cattle. So
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
so here's the question that I have for you, because you have gone through so much in your life. You've done so much in your life. And here you are now a ranch owner and doing even more incredible things. But I want our audience to really get to know Kandee and get to know your story. And that's how we began 9 years ago when you were on stage for our first conference. You shared your book, you shared your story. Can you just share with our listeners today how this all began for you?
Well, I always say that God gifted me with a very tough early life so I could learn what I've learned so that I could go out and make a difference, so that I could share with other people how to create an amazing life. And the way it started is I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. I didn't even know what my real name was until I was 14. I've never seen a picture of my father. I wasn't raised by my parents. I was raised by relatives that really didn't want me there. Day after I graduated high school, I was 17 years old, and they said, find a place and stay there. This was never your home. So I got in my car. I'd been working. I got in my car and I left Pennsylvania and I drove to South Florida. And when I got down to South Florida, I was 17 years old, had $40 in my pocket. And I said, I'm going to make life work. I'm going to figure out what it's about, because I had no one to mentor me into adulthood. And, and what happened? What do you think happened right off the bat? I got mixed up with the wrong people. I got, not that I got into trouble, but I got into places where I could have potentially gotten myself into trouble. And I sat back one day and, I've always had a very strong faith. I didn't have a father. I always said, God is my father. So I sat back and said, this is not what God wants me to do. And so I started listening to people, reading books, studying people that were successful, motivational speakers. I've studied all types of religions, and it became a passion of mine for years. And the interesting thing, I got married and I had a sweet baby girl. And right after I got married, my husband decided he didn't want to have a family. He wanted to get divorced. He didn't want to be a father, and he left me. And this was about, I would say it was about 13 years after I left home. He left me broke and homeless, took every penny. I lost my home. And here I am sitting back going, what am I going to do now? For the second time, I've been thrown away, basically. And then I realized I had been studying all these incredible things for 13 years. And I studied them, but like most people, I wasn't applying them wholly and fully. Because the thing is, it's not knowledge, it's power. We hear that all the time. It's the use of that knowledge. And so I sat back and took a look at my life, and maybe I didn't have any stuff. I had my beautiful baby girl, but what I did have was all this knowledge. And I decided to take this knowledge and take a look at it and find a way, create a roadmap for myself to use this knowledge that I'd been studying. And there were several principles of life that I found were very, very, very important. So I set up a system so that I would follow it every single day. And son of a gun, these principles and these rules and these laws, they work. And I went from a broke, homeless, single mother down to my last jar of peanut butter, to becoming in the top 4% of all Caldwell Banker salespeople worldwide. So I went from broke, homeless, single mother to be making more money in a month than a lot of people make in a year. And I don't say that to say, hey, look at me, look at me. I'm just saying I'm the absolutely average person that just applied some simple laws and principles, and they work. They absolutely work. And I've continued to use these laws and principles through my life to create whatever I wanted. And I went on to create 4 successful businesses and help my husband blow his business out of the water. So
Amazing
that's the
story.
short version. Huh?
Yeah, it's an amazing story. And every time you share it, I am I discover something new about you, honestly, and we'll talk offline because we have a lot of similar path, including not having a father. So that's very interesting. I did not remember that part of your story. There's certainly a lipstick attitude, you know, incarnate here, because you are the epitome of the lipstick attitude. You are the epitome of that, because, you know, we talk about lipstick attitude as our war paint, our resiliency, our ability to see beyond what is going on in our life circumstances. And, you know, in your book, you shared your story, of course, on stage, you shared it, and today you shared it. I want people to understand, and you said something very important while you were sharing your story, that it's not because you're Kandee G that you did this. It's because you worked hard at it. You came up with a strategy that worked for you, and you did not allow life circumstances to do you in. And that's the mindset.
It's interesting when I discovered that this stuff worked, and you're right. I never set out to be Kandee G speaker, Kandee G. You know, I've done real life movies. I've done 3. I've worked with all of the big guys. Les Brown is a grand friend and mentor. We've shared the stage 100 times. I never set out to do that. I set out to save my life. And then having this little baby girl, I needed to be able to take care of her. But the important things were not just making money, but also it's what I call personal prosperity, is creating prosperity in every aspect of our lives, which means happiness, spirituality, our physical self, all the pieces of our life, not just I need to make money. And so being happy and creating happiness for me was a big thing, and creating a happy life for my beautiful, beautiful daughter, Kate. And so, you know, it's kind of amazing. But back then, when I figured out my system and it was working, I got 5 of my girlfriends together and I said, let's get together for a weekend and let me walk you through a process. Let me walk you through this process, because this process really works. And so we walked through the process, and then, you know, we've all gone our ways. And one of my friends that went through the process with me, she had a meeting with somebody else that I had been mentoring, and she worked for an investment company. And my friend was looking for money to be able to start a business. And so she talked to her, and she happened to say to my friend, well, I've got a great mentor. Her name is Kandee G. And the girl sat back and she said, Kandee G, like Kandee G, long, brown, curly hair, Kandee G. And she said, yes. She goes, oh my God. We were best friends and we lost touch. And so she got my phone number, called me up, came up to the ranch, spent a weekend, and she brought all of the paperwork and all of the stuff that we had done that weekend.
Oh, wow.
And she said, here's all the work that I did. This was 20 years ago. She said, I never applied it. I'm in the same place I was 20 years ago. And then she said, look at you. You've applied every principle that you've taught, and look what you've created. And she said, way back then, 20 years ago, you said you were going to have a ranch and you were going to have horses, and look at this. So it's amazing. Wow. The difference of knowledge is one thing, but taking a great testimony to taking the knowledge and applying it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. 2 things. I have to tell you, Kandee, that every time I reach for a jar of peanut butter, I think of your story. and I'm embarrassed to tell you how often I reach for a can of peanut butter. So let me just say that. But I always think about your story and being down to that last jar. But the other thing that I love about you is the emphasis on applying what you learn. because I know Dr. King can attest to this as well, and I'm sure you can. So many people come to a conference or to a retreat looking for something, right? And you give them something, you gave them steps, but so few, they walk out and they don't apply it. It was a great moment.
Right. And you're excited for 3 days.
Mhm.
But what keeps you excited about this forever? So I have a back end system. I sit on people till they use this stuff. And
I love it.
I was just going to ask you what keeps you going, Kandee, but apparently this is it. Go for it.
Well, I started out after I put together 2-day conferences because it takes about 2 days to teach people and to get them to create a tool that they can use. And so what I would do for 40 days, I would send them an email with just a little snippet of what they learned in the 2 days. And there's a whole reason that I did it for 40 days. After the first time I sent out my 40 days, I would get people keep coming back to me and say, I don't want these little nuggets to end. And that's how I started my G notes. And I know you know what my G notes are.
Mhm.
Every single day I send out a little note. I call it a daily gift to guide you to greatness. And it's just a little quote and something to think about. And do you know, I now have been doing G notes every single day for 20 years. I've not lost my
Wow.
list. My list
Are
just
they all
grows.
different?
Yeah, pretty much. Every once in a while, one will get recycled, but I do have a rather large. We keep a list of them. Yeah, but that's how G Notes got started, because people wanted something to remind them. So that's now why I'm going to social media and putting things out on social media so people can see videos and other things and say, I'm going to focus on this today.
That's just amazing. So I want to ask you, what is the best advice you ever received through your career and life?
I'm going to say the best advice I ever received was something that I went seeking and something I went searching for. And what would happen is I would go see wonderful people like Bob Proctor, and you'd read Norman Vincent Peale, and you'd read all these people that would say, change your thoughts, change your life. And so I would talk to people and I would say, how do you do that? How do you change your thoughts? And what happened for me is there was a missing piece in that. And what happened is I found the missing piece, and I started to study neuroscience and quantum physics and how our thoughts work and how this happens. And the truth is, the best advice I ever got, or the best thing I ever discovered, is that the master creator really lives in your subconscious mind. And the truth is, taking the time to figure out what your subconscious mind is telling you. You don't know because it's subconscious. And so it has a way of directing your life. And I have some crazy statistics that I teach when I teach my classes. But the truth is taking the time to uncover you and the thoughts that are keeping you from getting you where you want to go. Oftentimes you're up here with a goal and you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. But underneath, there's a whole host of thoughts that are telling you you can't get it done, and you're not even aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful.
I love it. And we spend a lot of time delving into that same conversation with clients, for sure, about their subconscious and where a lot of their thoughts and behaviors come from. Yeah. And I'm going to ask you this question, but I feel like your whole life has been a very powerful lesson. But if you could pin down to one, like, what would be the most powerful lesson you've ever learned?
You're right. My whole life has been a lesson. The most powerful thing I've ever learned, I may have to give you a couple. One of the things that I've learned is that my life is my responsibility. It's up to me. It doesn't matter. Like, people will take a look at when they heard what happened when my family, just kind of said, see you, bye. And then my ex-husband walks out and leaves me broken, homeless. I said, you've got to smile for me, because it's the greatest gift I've ever had, because it taught me how to look for what was really important to me. It helped me discover who Kandee G really is. And so this thing of accepting responsibility, I mean, if you take a look at the world today, everybody's blaming and pointing fingers at everyone else. And if everyone would just stop, take a look at what they're doing to participate in what's not working, and you will find the answers. I will promise you that you will find the answers. That's one thing that was really big for me, is self-responsibility. The other thing is that I have discovered that feelings are as powerful as your thoughts. If your thoughts help to create your life, notice how you're feeling. If you're not feeling good, things are not going to go good for you. That's it, period. And one of the best ways to stay in a place of good thought is to be grateful for everything, even the bad things. It's been said that when you are in gratitude, it is impossible to be in a negative emotion. And if you find yourself constantly being in negative emotion, you're going to find negative things happening around you. You just are. So habituate gratitude is just one of the greatest lessons. I mean, when something goes wrong, you know, a couple years ago, 2 years ago, I told you I have 16 horses and 2 are pregnant. I think it's 16. I have to count.
That's a lot more than you had when I was there a year ago. My goodness.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Wow.
Oh, when you see you see the herd, but golly, I lost my my thought on that. But the thing that I found is that feelings are as important as your thoughts. And what's very interesting about working with the horses, they are so sensitive that when I work with them, I keep my mind completely clear and totally focused on what they need to do. And if I am having a bad day and if I'm not feeling good, if something's not right, I don't get in that carriage and hold on to those reins, because they feel it. They know it. Life outside has a way of, we're all energetically connected. It's amazing.
I interrupted your train of thought, but I'm going to bring you back because I think I know what you were going to share, and I think it's so important. 2 years ago, something happened very impactful to you that really changed a lot inside of you and gave you a lot of insight. So I want you to take it from there.
My heart horse,
Yes.
His name was Big Sexy. My name of my stables is Big Sexy Stables. And he got sick and I rehabbed him for 4 years and I lost him. And of course, it was very painful after I lost him. But when I would talk to people about it, I would just talk about how grateful I was. And people are like, how can you be grateful when such a hard, tough thing happened? I mean, and it was hard. I rehabbed him for 4 years. And the thing is I have to look at the fact that I would not have the ranch that I have today. I would not be driving and competing and doing what I have today if that big guy hadn't come into my life. He absolutely changed everything. And so what you will find delightful is that this year, I had a couple of babies, horse babies.
I was going to say, what? Did you forget to tell us something?
One of the horse babies, his name is the Spirit of the Noble King. I call him Spirit. He has almost the identical markings that Saxon had. Aww. And one of the things that Saxon used to do, my Big Sexy guy, is he would put his head on my shoulder. And I actually can send you a picture of this little colt crawling up with his front feet on my lap and laying his head on my shoulder. Aww. And the other thing that happened that's amazing is that, you know, the day, and I had to put him down because he fracture a bone in a place that could not be repaired. So the day I put him down, I just said, listen, dude, if you get a chance to come back, you come back. So I have a 7-month-old black and white colt with almost Saxon's identical markings. And the thing that was crazy, after he passed, I used to see cardinals everywhere. Everywhere on the ranch, I'd see cardinals. Since the baby's been born, no more cardinals.
Wow.
Cardinals are supposed to be a symbol of somebody who's passed on, and no more cardinals. And the other thing is he had a best friend, Lizzie, who I still have. And after he was gone, she got just terribly depressed for months, came out of it a bit, never quite herself again. And once the baby came into the barn, she's back to her old Lizzie. So you can decide. Do you believe? Do you don't believe? I choose to believe.
I choose to believe.
Not believe?
Yeah, exactly. I choose to believe. That's amazing. How can you not believe? That's right.
To me, that's science right there.
Right.
I don't care what anybody says. That is science.
I love
Yes.
it. I love it.
With everything that you have created and accomplished, now what? I mean, where are you going from here?
Well, like I said, I put nothing but good news, and we're filming all the time. Back on the air, and I'm doing a lot of just reaching out to people to spread positivity. And I will tell you, I get more thank yous for these little blurbs that I'm putting out, like thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I recognize that there's a place where I want to start doing seminars again as soon as COVID's clear. I live in an area that's very close to the Villages, which is the largest growing retirement community in the US. And I talk to a lot of older folks, and I find out that life is done for them. You know, I'll go play golf, or I'll go have a cocktail in the afternoon. And what I want to do is for people that want to believe there's still life after you stop working, that I want to create some seminars for those folks. You know, what's the meaning to old age? What there's a meaning to every aspect of our lives. And so how can we grow older with real dignity and purpose? And I had one woman say to me, she says, don't you believe that when we hit a certain age, we're like done? I said, done growing? No. And so it just made me realize that that's definitely a place I want to go. I will tell you, I'm having an absolute blast with the horses. I have been training with some amazing people. My driving skills have amped. I'm excited because the first weekend in December, I've got my two big black ones that are paired together, and we're going to do something that's called a CDE, and it's go fast in a carriage, and you go through cones courses and obstacles, and it's a wild ride. And this will be the first.
It is a wild ride. She took me on one of those rides a few times, actually. It's really crazy. It's very skillful too. You don't think it is when you're watching it, because it looks so seamless. Yeah. Oh, but it's tough when you're in it and you're going through those cones. Very tough.
Yes. Yeah. So my goal is, my twofold goal is to see where else I can take my speaking and training, but also working with the horses. I do most of the training with the horses myself, although I do have trainers. And by next year, I plan on driving a 4-in-hand. That's 4 at once. So
wow, that's exciting.
I thought you said foreign, and I was like, "Oh, are you getting horses from another country? That's cool too." I said foreign. I was like, "Oh,
no, not foreign. Four of them.
Four
I got
in
it.
hand.
In hand.
4 in hand. Got it."
That's not easy. All right, so I want to ask, and this is something that I ask of all of our guests, because I think this is so key for people to hear. that legacy is not, it's for everybody. Everybody creates a legacy. And I want to know, what do you hope your legacy will be?
You know what? It's not that people remember Kandee G. I've always said to my great good God, the day it becomes more about the messenger than the message is the day I need to be done. But what I do is I hope that I will leave positive messages sprinkled everywhere, and people that want to, absolutely want to find real happiness if they can learn how to spread those positive sprinkles. You know, my husband, he tells me I spread fairy dust everywhere I go, and that's what I just want people to remember, that and look for that and work for it. You know, absolutely work for it. So
I love it. And you're doing it. You're living out your legacy right now. And everything that you do is about your legacy, because you are that person that walks in and just brightens up the room.
I appreciate that. But along with my legacy, my beautiful 28-year-old daughter,
she's gorgeous, by the way,
but
inside and out.
She's prettier on the inside than she is on the outside. She just got off a 23-week, 31,000-mile road trip because a year and a half ago, she called me up and said she was going to buy a van and turn it into a tiny home. And when COVID hit and she got fired, off they went. So 23 weeks, 31,000 miles. She's next week, she's about to purchase her first home. But what's fascinating is, with a lot of the stuff that I've been posting, she is doing my copywriting, and she is like the most amazing copywriter, and she's going to go down this road. I know she is. And so my hope is that when I'm no longer here, which I plan on being around for a long time, that's another one of my goals, to be a centenarian. And she's carrying on the legacy. She's doing a crazy posts. She sends them to me to read, and before she posts them, but it's all her. I don't change a word. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
It's exciting. And she's
that's beautiful. That's a beautiful testimony to who you are and what you have created, and your why, and you know, your legacy is being heard loud and clear through her and through you. So thank you for all the work that you do and have done. I so appreciate you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Awesome. And in the spirit of giving, I understand you have a giveaway for our audience. What is that?
It's an audio called Personal Success, and it's just some secrets to success. And I will also tell folks, go to my website, kandeeg.com, and sign up for G Notes, and you'll get a little note every day. And if you go to kandeeg.com, Kandee G on Facebook, every single day, I think we're doing 6 days. Just get a little shot of inspiration and share it. Just help share it. Let's spread really great stuff all over social media.
I love it. So we will post in the show notes for sure how you can access Kandee's giveaway, but just so everybody is aware, she's going to give you the secrets, but you actually have to use them. You have to put them into, you can't just read them. You have to put them into applications. So we will have all of that for everybody in the show notes. Thank you, Kandee.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And you're going to put in the show notes a way for them to get in touch with her as well? Yvonne?
Yep. I think she said kandeeg.com, and on Facebook at Kandee G?
At Kandee G, yes.
Okay.
Awesome. So please, everyone, get connected with Kandee and make sure that you are not just taking in the positive quotes, but that you're sharing them. someone out there needs to hear it and see it. Right now, especially, we need to lift each other up. So this is a wonderful opportunity to do so. Okay, we're at that part of our show. We're ending our show with the lipstick attitude. I always love putting on the lipstick, but I hate signing off on the show because our guests are so interesting. I want to keep asking questions, but of course, you're always welcome to come back, and we will have you back because I want to dive in deeper into what you're doing at that ranch. Thank you so much,
Okay, sounds
Kandee.
great.
All right, so let's do it, everyone. Whip out your lipstick. This is our lipstick attitude. This is really what we've been talking about with Kandee throughout the program. Becoming resilient and purposeful leaders and not allowing anything in our life to stop us from doing what we were called to do. So get out there, you can do it, put on that lipstick attitude no matter what, no matter what. Thank you, Kandee. You've been awesome.
Thank you, ladies. Great
And
talking
great
to you.
spending a Saturday morning with you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. See you at the next one.